March 8th is commemorated as International Women's Day. South Africa has made many advances in the emancipation of women. Women have representation in Parliament, and many others are in influential positions in the corporate sector. Important issues impacting on gender equality are also being discussed, and acts of courage and perseverance by women who have made a difference to their countries and communities are being celebrated. Dr. Linda-Louise Geldenhuys, HR and Academic Manager at Boston City Campus, joins us now live. Dr. Linda-Louise, thank you so much for speaking to us. International Women's Day 2021 is an important day around the world. Can you give us some insights into that day and the theme for this year?
Of course. The world has made unprecedented advances. We can send robots to outer space to explore the surface of Mars. Some 50 years ago, we landed on the moon. Vaccines can be created to end pandemics. But in spite of all these achievements, no country has yet to achieve gender parity. In fact, according to the World Economic Forum, full economic parity is only 257 years away. This makes International Women's Day a significant time to create awareness around gender equality. Commemorated annually on 8 March, the day aims to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and perseverance by women who have made a difference to their countries and communities. So this year, the campaign focuses on Choose to Challenge, starting with creating awareness, calling out gender bias and equality, and to create an inclusive world. While it's important to acknowledge women's achievement, it is vital to address issues that are restricting the acceleration of gender parity and focus on solutions to remediate these situations. And this is exactly what Women's Day focuses on, or aims to achieve.
Well, when you talk about 257 years away from parity, it's a little bit deflating, is it not? Is my first question. And the second question is, take us through what strides we've made in the last 26 years.
So, progress towards greater gender equality has been hesitant and halting over the past few years. And with it 257 years away, it definitely is deflating. A new McKinsey analysis shows that women's jobs are 1.8 times more vulnerable to the crisis than men's jobs. Women make up about 39% of global employment, but account for 54% of overall job losses as of May 2020. So now with the COVID-19 pandemic, women have borne the brunt of the economic impact. This is because of pink-collar jobs, the so-called pink-collar jobs, that were impacted by lockdown restrictions. Women's employment is dropping faster than average, even accounting for the fact that women and men work in different sectors. The nature of the work remains significantly gender-specific, with women and men tending to cluster in different occupations. This shapes the gender implications of the pandemic, and globally, female jobs are 19% more at risk than male ones, simply because women are disproportionately represented in all sectors negatively affected by COVID-19 crisis, such as accommodation, food, and services. So these consequences won't disappear when the pandemic subsides. Women are likely to experience long-term setbacks in the workforce, participation and income, and impacts on pension and savings will have implications for women's economic security far down the road. At the same time, the burden of unpaid care, which has risen in the pandemic, falls disproportionately on women. So women who do an average of 75% of unpaid work for health and childcare, caring for the elderly, cooking and cleaning, we are all at risk there.
So I tend to think that there's a lot of talk about gender parity, but very little action. And the reason I say this is if we look at sport, for instance, I know that a couple of years ago on the tennis tour, the women fought for parity, and as far as what they were paid versus what the men were paid, and they said there's no difference to what it is that we are doing. Can you illustrate certainly to our viewers what efforts you are physically making beyond talking about it and commemorating International Women's Day?
Yes. So there are overt discrepancies which can be addressed. These include assessing internal culture and behavior which contribute to the underlying problem. Businesses can start with 3 immediate actions. Firstly, they can track their data. Are job losses or requests for leave higher amongst women than men? Have promotion rates of women slowed? Secondly, they can also take action. Companies that are rehiring should ensure that hiring practices consider gender diversity. So those investing in reskilling need to ensure female workers are actively encouraged to participate in such programs. And thirdly, they can look for opportunities to increase gender equity throughout their ecosystem. Are your products and services designed to counter these regressive effects? For example, looking at the gender pay gap, which in simple terms is the difference between the average wages of men and women, regardless of their seniority. Equal pay is a different concept, but is connected to this issue. Equal pay is about ensuring that there are no unjustified pay differences between employees who perform work of equal value. South Africa does not yet currently legally require the disclosure of gender pay gaps, and very few companies report on the gender pay gap. But further than this, the development and nurturing of female talent is vital to ensure appropriate female representation at all levels to promote diversity, equality, and inclusion. PwC's Executive Director's Practices and Remuneration Reports for 2020 shows that the gender pay gap between male and female executives is wider for large cap JSE listed companies and differs according to the industry type. Across large cap companies, the gender pay gap is most significant at 45% of the marginal improvement at medium cap, which is 39%, and a 25% pay gap at the small cap sector. On a per industry basis, the differences in pay gaps between industries are stark, ranging from 7% in financials to a hefty 34% in the real estate industry. So reporting on the gender pay gap is one leg of any potential solution, though, and companies should actively assess their internal culture and behaviors that contribute to the underlying problem. Areas such as succession planning, talent management, and flexible working arrangements are all vital components of company policy to consider. Organizations should also take steps to identify and better understand how to attract, develop, and retain female talent in order to slowly narrow the gap and ensure appropriate female representation at all levels. Active efforts are required by organizations to ensure that the systemic change is achieved.
Dr. Linda-Louise Geldenhuys, HR and Academic Manager, Boston City Campus, thank you for your time and speaking to us this evening.